Testing. Testing, testing. Testing. William, thank you. It's good to see you, man. I'm glad that you joined here. My guess is you have the bell notification on. We'll get started very soon here, but it's great to have you all joining here. Hope you all are having a beautiful Saturday so far. I'm having a great Saturday. I hope everyone is as well. So we'll get started very soon here. We got lots to cover, and I hope everyone here is doing, wonderful. We got William joining. Sound check good. Thank you, William, for confirming. And then we have Abel here joining. Yep, it's all about the W. So we'll give it a couple more minutes before we actually get started here, but we got lots of material to cover. So hope you all are having a great Saturday so far. But definitely put your questions in the chat. I have many things that I want to cover, but ultimately, I'm here to get that, dialogue going with you all. Any questions you have, I'd love to answer it. Let me know if you have any requests as well. We can definitely talk about everything that's going on right now. So hope you all are having a nice weekend here. Okay, so it looks like we got a couple folks joining here, but let's just give it about another, 30 seconds, and then we'll get this kick-started. We'll definitely cover all of that, yes. So put your questions in the chat, your comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. Why are we seeing such a recent downturn here with market uncertainty? So thank you all for joining. We'll go ahead and get started. So far, we got about 9 people here. I'll first off, just thank you all for joining here. We got William in the chat, Abel. Please leave your comments, questions in the chat. We definitely have a lot to cover here. I actually just got back from the gym, so I haven't showered or anything, but just so excited to start this live chat. I actually was able to hit my PR earlier. I did some deadlifting, and I tried my PR on my bench, 315 on the bench. So I'm very happy to be able to get back to that. I was stuck at 315 on the bench for over a year now, but definitely back in action. Last weekend, I hit a PR for deadlift, 485 pounds. So just trying to get stronger throughout the week. But, let's go ahead and get started. Put your comments and questions down in the chat here. What happened Friday? I mean, everything was just pouring red. I mean, if we were to look at a heat map, everything was red, stock market, Bitcoin, even altcoins, even stocks like Strategy, the Bitcoin miners. There was such a big downturn. We did see, several weeks ago that recent pullback with DeepSeek, and now we're getting more pullbacks due to, I think of it as FUD news, drawing attention towards potential weaker economy, inflation. I think people are just like worried about the reciprocal tariffs. But ultimately, I think all of those strategies, is really going to help the United States build. I mean, even George Washington used terrorists, and that's what really built the United States. But overall, I mean, what happened was that we learned about the Bybit hack, which is like the largest crypto heist in history today. We'll talk more about that, and then just go through different price points that I believe is coming. And I'll share with you my price predictions as we look further into what's going on here. All right, so put your comments, questions down, and we'll start covering the details. So you see here, Bitcoin at 96,000. I mean, a lot of people was like, okay, we're seeing that climb up. Are we going to break through that 100K here? It got up to that 99,400, and then it just took that downward dip. I think all of that was because of the stock market reaction. You have like the Mag 7s, like Nvidia down, but we're seeing some healthy climb back up. So I wouldn't worry so much with all of this here. We're seeing a lot of like game theory kick in. In fact, just recently, Costa Rica is now investing, El Salvador is investing, even like Russia. I mean, they removed the ban on Bitcoin mining. So it's just a rush right now, even at the state level. There's just so much going on right now that I believe where there's just going to be a lot more, effort into the whole Bitcoin ecosystem. So as we look at, just the rainbow chart, I always like looking at this because it gives us an overview of, where we are. We're still in that accumulation phase, especially with every halving event. You see like that run up, that run up, that run up. Post halving, we haven't seen that run up yet, but just based on the way that Bitcoin is designed, every halving, supply and demand kicks in, Bitcoin becomes more difficult to mine, where miners have higher difficulty getting rewarded. So then what they do is increase their hash rate. And by increasing the hash rate, all of that's really just going to drive up the price of Bitcoin. And that's where these miners are able to capitalize. But we'll go through all of those details. Just to share with you this visual here. It's a lovely picture. We have Trump in the background here, but this was taken from Plan B Bitcoin here. But key thing here is you see with every halving event, you see those yellow dots. We're still in that red dot. We haven't even seen that orange dot break out yet. So I do think that we're going to see that climb up with those yellow dots coming. And what does that mean? Relative strength index is really going to start kicking in. And I think that's where we're going to have that really big price action activity. All right, so I'm going to look through the chat here. So William, it's tax time manipulation, definitely. I mean, what we've seen is like February historically, it's a month where we get upside, but February has been the reverse of that. It's been more of like DeepSeek news, reciprocal tariffs, and now we have Bybit hack, which definitely I agree, Apple is a low blow for crypto. I mean, just going through, here, I mean, key thing is we're not out of the woods yet. RSI hasn't even ramped up yet. We're going to definitely see those red dots kick in. I'm thinking the red dots will kick in as we get towards like September timeframe, and then who knows, we may get the top off where once we get past October, that's when we might have some correction there, or it may go beyond Q4 2026. Who knows? But key thing is Bitcoin hasn't really topped off yet here. That's the big thing. And just here's this lovely posting from Michael Saylor here. After a deep search, Grok 3 thinks Bitcoin is best. So it's interesting. Let's see what the 3.0 Grok says here. So Bitcoin is the best crypto asset in 2025. It has the largest market cap at around 1.92 trillion, making it the most dominant. Known as digital gold, it has a fixed supply of 21 million coins, appealing to long-term investors. Its price is around 96,000 with a 24-hour change of minus 2%. So quite interesting there. But let's take a look at the chat here. All right, so Bybit hack. Yep, we'll talk more about that. MSTR not reaching new highs. So yeah, we saw that top off with MSTR. We'll cover updates on MSTR. But let's take a look here. Question from William: what is your prediction on Mara earnings report in 4 days? So to me, I think because we're seeing some big downward movements here with like Mara, back in November timeframe, late November, $30, and then now, February, after like a series of weeks here, it's been just bleeding out here. but I really don't think things are just going to continue bleeding out. Look at the RSI here. What happens when the RSI gets, this is the key thing here to buy right here. Look at the RSI. It's hugely oversold. Let's go back, back in September when the RSI was like at 15, similar to like now 17. What happened? Oh my goodness, September was the greatest time to buy. That's when it started running back up to 30. But as we go back here, August 2024 RSI was low. So we've gone to that point where we're seeing indicators of it being oversold. This is the time to continue dollar cost averaging, because as the technical indicators tell us, RSI here at that low point, I think come earnings, next week, we could very well see it shoot back up. Again, they're going to start announcing earnings on the HODL that they have with Mara, and that could very well, shoot up the price, back into that $20 range near term, and then, I'll see that start climbing back up into the $30 range. But because Mara is a Bitcoin treasury, they lease out their Bitcoins, they make money, leasing out their Bitcoins, as well as Bitcoin yield appreciation. That's really going to drive it up. But just based on technical indicators, Mara is the biggest miner out there, and they have the biggest hash rate, the biggest HODL out of all the miners. We haven't seen all of that factored in right now, so buy on the fear, because this thing is going to start running for sure. Okay, so then thank you, William, for your question. So Abel, yep, hope that helped you as well. Okay, so Abel, that's a nice comment there. All right, so then we'll continue through the chat, but definitely leave your comments in the chat below. All right, so then let's go and just talk about the latest updates here. Vitalik is caught in a nightmare. He can't win. Roll back the chain, and Ethereum proves it's centralized. Do nothing, and Ethereum funds North Korean terrorism and will suffer brutal sanctions. Either way, Ethereum is finished. The only question is how fast it collapses. So I think there's a lot of back and forth right now on the credibility of Ethereum because of that, the hack on Bybit. And I think just with that recent news, Bybit, the CEO came out, was very transparent. But I think because now we heard about, the code chain Ethereum being hacked, it's kind of like, wait, when you have your crypto in your wallet, how is it able to get hacked? So because of that, I think that's drawing a lot of the uncertainty, in Bybit, the crypto exchange. A lot of people are trying to pull out because they're worried about what they have stored on the exchange or even on their wallet, through the Bybit service. But I think all of that is what's driving, Bitcoin going down, in addition to the stock market going down as well. But it's interesting to just see that, through the investigation with this big time hack that we've never heard of, identifying Lazarus as a culprit. And then you see here 1 billion Bybit hack was carried out by North Koreans, Lazarus Group. Crypto investigator Zach XBT provided solid evidence linking them to the attack. So what's interesting is it's more of like being able to attack the design of like the exchange. So it's not necessarily like the ecosystem of crypto, but I don't know the technical details, but I think it's breaking the, the human code versus the actual design of like the Ethereum blockchain here. But you see here, just with what happened, the hackers were able to like create different entities to allocate all of the funds there. But I think that's what really drew the uncertainty around all of what's happening here. So it's kind of like if Bybit can get hacked, can all these other exchanges be hacked as well? I mean, now it's kind of like, I'm sure Coinbase, Binance, all the CEOs, they're pushing hard on their software engineers, their AI developers, their computer gurus to really lock in the infrastructure, cybersecurity, to prevent any of this malicious hacking. So I think with this happening, it's really drawing a lot of attention, where now investors are kind of like Well, with the whole update with the accounting change, where now financial institutions can claim custodian rights. Now, do investors really want to be involved in these exchanges, or would they rather just leverage Bitcoin ETFs? So all of that comes into play as well, which will be interesting, when it comes to like custodian rights and all that. But here you'll see here Bybit hacker burned 42 million worth of Ethereum. So now it's kind of like, are people going to like not trust Ethereum as much? And does this raise up the price of Bitcoin? Right? I think that now it's really going to draw more reputation towards Bitcoin because of the stability around Bitcoin. We heard Michael Saylor announce, so Bitcoin is really the future of like cyberspace, and Bitcoin is the economic armor. So, I think the branding that's associated with Bitcoin is that, you can't really hack Bitcoin. So Ethereum is losing its credibility when you compare it towards like Bitcoin. But definitely some big time news here with the Bybit hack, and I think that that's really drawing the uncertainty around just the Bitcoin prices. But I think that over time, this is just going to be something that we all will learn from. But I don't think that it's going to like make a crash with the Bitcoin price or even the stock market. But previous to this heist here, I mean, any news like this would just drop and tank Bitcoin. But now, I mean, Bitcoin's still hovering in that healthy $95,000. We're in it for the long run here. I mean, there's so much stability around Bitcoin when you look at it. But definitely some interesting news here with this hack here. All right, going back to the chat here. So William with the question. So, all right, what miners need to be removed from the list? Is it the top three, Mara, CleanSpark, Riot for you, or are there others as well? So, when I look at top three, I very well like those three, with the reason being that HODL hasn't been really factored in yet. So when you look at just overall Bitcoin treasuries, key thing here is strategy, MSTR. Look at their Bitcoin HODL, 478,000. So now they're still trying to borrow more money to make more money. That's the business model at strategy. They are like the black hole. They are able to suck up more money from investors and buy up more Bitcoin. So their overall enterprise value is factored in based on the amount of Bitcoin that they can hold on to. So you have like 478,000 Bitcoin. That's like your Bitcoin value. You divide that by the enterprise value. That'll give you the enterprise MNAV, net asset value, just based on Bitcoin holdings against just the enterprise value based on the shares that you have. So even though there's talks about more ATMs, convertible notes, with 0% interest, key thing is that strategy is using that to buy more Bitcoin. So as a result, this is going to create a supply shock here. So we know there's only 21 million Bitcoins out there, but really there's only like 5% left of Bitcoin available. So the scarcity is really kicking in, and game theory is really kicking in. Now the United States, can it be that capital gains tax goes away, where now that's going to start bringing in more investors? Who knows? Because there's only 1,000 Bitcoins left, capital gains tax may just very well go away at one point. So from an accounting perspective, from an economic perspective, from a computer science perspective, Bitcoin price where it currently is, we're still early in the game. At 96,000 now, I think that 2025 we're going to see 180, 200,000 because of all of this coming into play. Game theory, that's the game of economy of scale. But you look at Mara here, I mean, they're not close to strategy, but at one point they're going to get up to that 100,000 Bitcoin. There's a million Bitcoins left, so there's no question as to whether Mara will get there or not. They definitely will get there. So as you think about market capitalization, yes, we hear Mara, they're increasing their ATM, but similar to how Strategy is doing it, they're basically borrowing more money through ATMs to make more money, and that's to increase their Bitcoin treasury. So when you think about price appreciation with Bitcoin, let's say future state when Mara gets up to 100,000 in Bitcoin, what will their market capitalization be? I mean, they're currently at 5 billion market capitalization, but their vision is to scale up from 5 billion to be the first miner to be 100 billion in terms of market capitalization. But you also look at like Riot, for example, here 18,000, not close to Mara, but just based on the recent price of like Mara, we're seeing heavy suppression going on. But I think that these big time hodlers, like with CleanSpark as well. I mean, Tesla just bought more Bitcoin, so game theory is really kicking in. You let the data tell the story. So Tesla here also buying Bitcoin using that MSTR playbook, Mara using that MSTR playbook, Riot using that MSTR playbook. Now, CleanSpark, they didn't use that MSTR playbook, but based on game theory, when the biggest player makes that move and when you have secondary other players making that move, that's where you have more an advantage because you're adapting, you're doing what your enemies are doing when it comes to game theory. So all of that is really going to factor in here, and we haven't really seen HODL companies take advantage yet. But I do think that as Bitcoin price starts breaking out, just based on the cross asset model with relative strength index to start ramping up with yellow dots, we're very well going to see these hodlers kick in here. All right, so I gave a very lengthy update, and that was because William, your question. So that's why I have it as a top 3 miners. But when I look at it as well as a top 4 miner, I would also factor in like Iron, because even though they don't have a HODL, they're scaling up their operations through a high hash rate, high efficiency with their mining and AI capabilities. All right, so it looks like we got more people here. Thank you all for joining. I really appreciate you joining. You have a question or a request, please put it in the chat. I'm going through all of the questions here. Let me know what your thoughts are, what questions you have. Put it in the chat with the queue, and I will definitely cover that. So Sahai here, what do you think about MSTR for this year? It's just going down since November of last year. So yes, Sahai. So I think just to transition over here. So MSTR, why is everyone scared? So let's go through this. I don't even think I understand the stock well, but I see so much fear in a sub that I thought it would be better than this. Let me get this right. MSTR cleverly harnessed the stock's volatility to extract value. So volatility is good for MSTR, but yet I'm seeing some holders glued to the price action and lose their marbles. If the volatility is sickness used, there's other products. One thing to keep in mind is what happened in 2023. MSTR went up by like 300%. What happened 2024? Back in November, year to date during that time, 800% gain. And then it ended the year 2024 with a 400% gain. I think there was, healthy profit taking, and that's what led to the correction. I actually, did warn everyone too at that 550, take profits around that time, if you were invested, because with the Citron shorting the company at that time, it dropped, from 550 to 280, where now it's 299. I definitely think that with that big time, like 50% drop, we could very well see, MSTR just pop back up very soon here. But let's just take a look at CleanSpark here, because CleanSpark, in addition to MSTR and like Mara and other miners, we've been seeing some disparity in that we got good earnings report from CleanSpark. I mean, you look at their fleet efficiency right behind Iron at 16. They're increasing their their mining capabilities, their hash rate. They reached that 40.1 milestone, and then come June 2025, they're planning on getting above 50 exahash with a cost to mine at $34,000. Really, I mean, their HODL count here, I mean, at one point getting close to over 11,000 Bitcoins. You know, this is really good here, but why is it that CleanSpark is getting suppressed by shorters? I think just lately there's been a lot of short split action on CleanSpark, but just let's take a look here just with this updates. So CleanSpark is about to test the main uptrend line for the first time since late 2023. The past two times is when this trend line has been tested. CleanSpark surged 270% both times in the 3 months that followed. If history is to repeat, then we could be looking at CleanSpark trading over $30 in 2025. History doesn't always repeat, but it certainly rhymes. So definitely some good takeaways here. So what are we seeing? Higher lows from a long-term perspective. So even though we see some big pullback here, everyone's feeling like, oh my gosh, like it's dropped so much. But key thing is higher lows here with ascending support level here. All right, so let's take a look at all of the questions here. All right, so I hope I answered that question, Sahai. So, just going through the chat here, Jerry Mackey. All right, thank you, Jerry, for joining here. So I believe Bitfarm should be avoided just because there are better options like Mara, BTBT, and Riot. Definitely. Thank you for that input, Jerry. And we'll cover, more details on Riot, Mara in this live chat here. So I think earnings is really going to shoot things up here. Jason question, are there any states anywhere close to purchasing Bitcoin? So I think it's going to be very exciting. Who knows? Will it be like February timeframe where we get some rocket launching news here? But I think, just with the latest news, I don't think we've got confirmation yet on any state that has purchased Bitcoin here, but I think that we may very well soon hear updates. I think the key thing is like Texas. As soon as we hear something from like Texas, we're going to start shooting up. But to date, we haven't got any confirmation of any state buying up Bitcoin yet. But as soon as we hear that, things are going to just start ramping up. We saw the visual of like the United States where most of the states are like orange. There's no way that every state's going to be like disproved. So it's coming. It's definitely coming, and that's not priced in yet. All right. So thank you all for joining here. All right. So it looks like we got Jerry Mackley. Tesla has a huge holding of Bitcoin, so 13,000 might make it stronger in the end. So where is Bitfarms on that list? So I think just based on technicals, Bitfarm at $1.40. Yes, it can't compare to all the other miners, but just based on value investing, as these miners start ramping up, I think Bitfarms will take that positive direction as well. All right, so let's continue. So we talked about the higher lows here with CleanSpark, but just with my drawing here on CleanSpark, yes, we are reacting to that run up of like April 2024. It reached $24, but remember, keep in mind it was like $3, and then it shot up to $24. That's like 800% gain. So it's expected to see a correction, but with a correction like this, a big drop off is where we're going to see another run up very soon here. As we continue through 2025, I think we're just going to see a cup and handle here. Towards I think Q3, Q4 of 2025, Bitcoin is going to reach all-time highs $180,000. So think about $180,000 if Bitcoin doubles in price. Where's CleanSpark going to go, right? Just put that into perspective. All right, JG Lee, thank you for joining here. So buying call options or leaps for miners is so old school. Just buy a mid-cap meme as a proxy, no expiration, and MMs can't screw you over. Yeah, I mean, everyone was talking about meme coins and all that, how it's getting killed. But now, just recently, you see like the meme coins actually performing very well right now. In fact, outperforming Bitcoin. But it all comes down to volatility. When things go down fast, it goes down fast, like what we've seen with altcoins and even Solana, for example. But Bitcoin holds up quite well, so it's definitely less risky and it's more of a long-term play than anything. Let's take a look here. A posting Mara, food for thought. Wall Street has strategically suppressed Bitcoin while shorting Mara as a hedge. Though structured pair trading and market misinterpretation of accounting rules, they build a negative narrative around Mara and other miners, leading to low sentiment in general. But know this, miners like Mara, CleanSpark are massively undervalued compared to their growth in revenues, return on investment, and hash rate. All of them up 50 to 150% year over year. This narrative needs a fight, and the bell rings on Wednesday when Q4 goes official. I expect a major shift because numbers don't lie, and Wall Street speaks that language. So let the data tell the story. So what are we seeing here? You got Vanguard, BlackRock, Morgan Stanley buying up Mara. I mean, in fact, there is financial institutions holding at like $18. You see that in my prior video, but these whales know what they're doing, and if you have people buying, at large scale, like millions of shares, they're buying that big of an amount, investing that big of an amount because of return on investment. And I think earnings report, even though we're hearing all of this news with Bybit getting hacked, Bitcoin, is it the end for the Bitcoin cycle? I really don't think that all of that's even like going to happen. Healthy consolidation still. We're still in the $90,000 here. Just because it dropped from like 99,000 to 95,000, everyone was like worried that Bitcoin is going to end. No, it's not. There's so much level of effort, research from every country right now in the world, and that's why Bitcoin is just going to continue going up. They're going to eventually bypass gold as the top, crypto, gold. All right. So going back to the chat here, let's see. Yeah, I would really appreciate that. So William, subscribe and hit the like. If you're new to this channel and if you're enjoying it, I would really appreciate you all turning on the bell notification first, hitting the like, subscribing to All I See Is W, getting close to that 9,000 subscribes. Hopefully, I can get beyond that 10,000 subscribers. I know that I will, especially with the amount of support you all are providing, but that would really help me as well. So thank you, William, for that comment. All right, Sahai, retail investors like me are in MSTR instead of Bitcoin this cycle. So MSTR, let's take a look at MSTR technicals here. I think MSTR, when you look at the recent news, Cantor Fitzgerald, he's the leader of the U.S. Secretary of Commerce, and he's a big-time investor. He basically is the leader at Cantor Fitzgerald. He actually owns Bitcoin. He owns Bitcoin ETC. He owns Bitcoin ETFs like IBIT, and he also owns like shares of Mara as well with his financial firm Cantor Fitzgerald. He actually bought $1 billion worth of MSTR stock just recently. On top of that, Canadian banks have been buying as well. And also at the state level, We have, California retirement fund for like teachers. They actually bought up MSTR as well. So there's just so many interest wanting to get exposure into MSTR. And why is that the case? Because people like that story that Saylor is telling. He's the CEO. I think he's doing a better job than like the CEO of like Amazon, Meta, any CEO out of the Mag 7, even the CEO of like Nvidia. I think Saylor, everyone likes him. He's such a great speaker, and he's able to tell a beautiful and simple story, leveraging different, applications like the economy, like economics, computer science with physics, mathematics, and like engineering, as well as communication. And he's the only company out there that really took on this, this branding to just continue buying Bitcoin during COVID to now. And I don't think there's going to be any company that can catch up to MSTR because of their conviction, taking a big time risk buying Bitcoin when it was like 10,000, whether it's 100,000, doesn't matter. Just continue buying up Bitcoin because in the long run, it's going to become scarce and it'll be like $20 million per Bitcoin. But the fact that they hold on to all of that on their treasury, think about the cyberspace ecosystem. So the entire global infrastructure will be built around, MSTR and these, Bitcoin miners and companies that have a high HODL. Uh, but then it comes down to, MSTR being able to provide a premium because of their bulk HODL of Bitcoin. So in the long run, I think that their market capitalization will get beyond that 1 trillion and then multi-trillion dollars. And what does that mean? Their MNAV is just going to go up. I mean, their HODL, it's going to eventually go above 500,000 Bitcoin. Their enterprise value will increase. And as a result, the price is going to go up. Even Tom Lee, he's a known person in this, in this sector. He's suggesting that it's going to, retest 550 come March, and then at one point it's going to break through that 750. But I think that as Bitcoin price, reaches all-time high, just based on just the relative strength index for every launch. We haven't seen the red dots yet, but what does that mean for MSTR price as it reaches 180,000, 200,000? We could very well see the current price here, like have a 4x, like 300 to $1,200. That's my assessment. All right, so let's take a look here in the chat. So Christian, MSTR down. Did you see the graphic? It's just a matter of time. So yes, there's fear, uncertainty, but I definitely do think that MSTR is going to have that bounce back up. I mean, from a technical, we see that top off. Of course, we're going to expect that that consolidation over time. It's been consolidating, healthy consolidation here. You attribute it to the last 3 months here. I mean, the last 3 months here, right? It's similar to how Bitcoin is going. However, with that 800% gain, I mean, from 40K to 100K, that was like a 100% gain with Bitcoin. But you got to factor in volatility, going from 100 to like 540 to 550. Because of that, you're expected to see a downward consolidation. But this has a correlation with price of Bitcoin for the last 3 months. But as soon as Bitcoin makes 130K, we're going to see MSTR have a faster appreciation in terms of its price. And yes, just based on other types of plays like STRK, MSTX, MSTU will definitely have more upside. All right, so Jerry here. So is there a correlation between the miners rally and altcoin rally? So that's a great question. When it comes to correlation between altcoins and miners. So I don't have an answer to that, but I do think that we may very well see the higher risk plays like the miners and altcoins have some degree of correlation. In fact, you look at like coins like SEI, SUI, they've been having a recent run up, like 10% gain and all of that. We may very well see Doge also kick in, even though it's been just consolidating. But the meme coin, Doge Department of Government Efficiency, we haven't seen it run up yet, but I think that there's some upside there. Let's take a look at, just updates here, just with Riot as well. So I had a post here. So technicals update, RSI relatively low with recent suppression from the bears, expected to reach prior resistance of $15 before the next retest of $20 prior resistance. Fibonacci gold cross possible volume inflows in gamma green candle to plus $70. Bitcoin to reach 200,000 in 2025. So just based on this visual here, the retest of what we saw back in November, that $15. But before that, back in 2023, July timeframe, it reached $20. But I think that we could very well see some price action here. So here's another posting. Will history repeat itself for Riot based on the last Bitcoin halving event? Let the data tell the story. And thank you, Jerry Mack, who's actually on live here for sharing this visual. We'll look at this. 2017 top off $38, during that post-halving event. The next post-halving event, we saw that gamma squeeze there, of $77. And now that we have our new post-halving event, are we potentially seeing that Fibonacci gold where we're going to see that, that run up of $155? So I don't have the magic 8 ball, but just based on historical trends of every post-halving event, you had one here. It shot up to $38. Next post-halving event, it shot up to $77. Next post-halving event, are we going to see a shoot up here? So who knows? But based on historical trends, similar to altcoins like Doge, we saw that, that recent run up. We haven't seen it with the miners yet. So just based on timing, it's difficult to know when timing comes. But these big time waves do come with these type of plays here. So just to give you some overview here. Yep, and definitely. So Jerry, Jerry Mackey here. This is Jerry Mackey's drawing here. So definitely some really great insights here. But I do think that there is correlation with the miners as I look back here, but I don't think it's a reflection of timing. It's more of the capability of getting these gamma candles coming. So thank you, JG Lee. 10,000 subs, definitely going to come. I definitely do know that it's coming. It's not if, it's a matter of when. So thank you all for supporting as well, to this channel here. And if you are new, please, hit the like, subscribe as well. So William, Mara seems to be pretty quiet on their HODL numbers before earnings. Do you think Mara will surprise us with their HODL count in 4 days? So every month, Mara is gonna, rack in about, 10,000, Bitcoins, right? So where they currently are right now at 45,000, they're just very close to getting, to that 50K, but with that, increase in the, ATMs, what are they going to do? They may very well, get more money or borrow more money to buy up Bitcoin. So who knows? They may, ramp up to like, 70,000 Bitcoins in like the next quarter here, just based on their updates, with increasing the ATM. So even though there's more shares out there with dilution, the counter to that is increasing the Bitcoin HODL, which may very well get people interested. Like that's where investors of MSTR as soon as we see Mara's earnings report, there's going to be a lot of investors wanting to invest in the big time hodlers because of showing that they're able to make money in the Q4 data, which is coming up next week. So it's going to be very exciting. All right, so leave your questions in the chat. We'll go on for another 15 minutes here, so I'll just continue on. But definitely, Riot, I do think that we have that potential here. With that previous cycle, post halving, what happened? From like single digits to $77. Of course, we can't just look at hindsight, but letting the data tell the story here is there's definitely those waves that do come in here. And we've seen waves with altcoins like Dogecoin, stuck back in like 2021. It had a big run up. There was so much with meme coins during that time. And then, like a couple months ago, it had its big run up as well. So because altcoins have those big waves, there's definitely waves in the miners as well, which we've seen with Mara, CleanSpark, and Riot. So that's definitely something to consider. Here's another visual here in that just general area we are in with fractals. Fractals are not a GPS, but a general map of price action. So we may very well see volume kick in, especially with RSI being a low. But people like buying in at the lower cost and then selling at buy for cheap, sell for steep. I think that's the motto here. But just looking at it from a long-term kind of view here, that prior run up here, post having last Bitcoin run up, you saw that run up, $2-3 all the way up to close to $80. But now, support level is different than before. We're now like in the double-digit range support level. So if or when there's that run up with Riot, we're gonna see like the big time hodlers like Mara, CleanSpark also have run ups as well. If we see Riot take off, it could definitely run up as well. So just looking at price of Bitcoin, most of you are wondering, so how are things going to look next week? I think that we may see some huge upside with Bitcoin. Who knows? I don't have a magic 8-ball, but I do think that just all with the news that we're hearing with like tariffs and all that, tariffs are actually good for the United States. So I don't know why people are worried about tariffs. Think about the sellers from different countries. It eats into their profit, and it really focuses on America first, bringing jobs back, and that's really going to just put a reflection on the companies that are focused on Bitcoin and AI. So when you have companies like MSTR, when you have companies like Riot, positioning into AI as well, we may hear like Stargate contract, and that's really why Starboard took an investment in Riot as well, because they do see that upside, or who knows, like they're forecasting some big run up that may very well come up. But I think with earnings report with Mara that's going to be coming next week, we're going to see some upside here, with them showing that they made a lot of money in Q4, and think about FASB rules reflected. So they're going to show some positive earnings per share increase. The actuals would definitely outweigh the expected, and that's going to draw some attention here with Mara. Who knows? There may be some news around acquisition coming up. We heard about that in the last couple months, but I think Mara is definitely undervalued here, especially with the RSI recently at like 17. Looking at the prior low point RSIs, this is where you take advantage dollar cost average, because it's going to run back up to 30 in the near term. All right, so any other questions that we have here? I'll take one more question. if there's no questions, perhaps I may very well just end early here, but just wanted to thank you all for joining here. I really appreciate, all of you supporting, during the weekend live Q&As. I would love your feedback as well on how I'm doing, any areas that I can improve on, what I should do differently, what's working, what's not. But first off, I just wanted to, just give special thanks uh, to everyone here joining. Same time next week. So I usually, work out in the morning. I started a little later today, but it's around, the noon time frame. It all depends because I love working out, taking time during the weekend. In fact, just outside of what I do here, I work out like 6 times a week. So like, I just take like uh, for every week I take one day off, which is on Fridays. But for the most part, it's like work. But I like doing cardio, so I do like cardio. I run 3 times a week, and I lift 6 times a week. And today, just to share with you some updates, I actually did my bench press. I was able to do 315 bench, which was my prior PR. But also, my deadlift last weekend, I hit 485. So I'm hoping to get above 500 on the deadlift and also get my squat numbers up. So definitely love, health and fitness, because that's what really allows for me to research and do my research and provide back to you all. So not only do I encourage everyone to make money on gains with positive proceeds, but also focusing on your health as well. Making sure that you stay healthy, you lift weights, build that muscle. You also do cardio, and that's really going to allow for you to live a healthy lifestyle, because health is wealth for the most part. So Abel, love your MSTR and Mara videos. Definitely, I appreciate you. Supporting here. If you get a chance, look at this video and how clear are his charts. So JG, you gave me the feedback, because all of my charts before was like crappy. So definitely the feedback helps. So if there's anything that you think can help, then definitely let me know so I can incorporate that. One of my biggest problems is like speaking very slow, and I think a lot of people notice that. So like I'll get comments like, "Oh, I would recommend you turn on the speed like 1.3 and all that." It's just how my brain operates. I can't speak fast. My brain operates at a much slower pace. But if it helps, you could always turn up the speed for the voice. But that's just how it works for me. Like when some people talk at very fast pace, it's hard for my brain to process all of that. So I have a slow GPU in my head. So perhaps it might just be memory leakage. But I'm just a slow speaker and a slow processor. So please bear with me. So Jerry here, I like it slow. Yep. It all depends on each individual, I would say. But I think that whatever suits you, just take advantage of it. But yeah, I'm just so grateful for all of you joining. Last week was just an interesting hiccup with, who knows, like what the heck was going on with, North Korean terrorism hacking Bybit, and what's the intention of this here, but it's interesting to hear about even the code chain getting hacked. We always hear about Go chain, the code chain like being super secure, protected. So I think it's interesting to see how one is able to break in and tap into the code chain wallet here. But definitely we'll hear more, but definitely a little short-term hiccup. And Jerry here, no ego involved. Definitely, that's definitely not the crowd want to get involved with. When it comes to like ego and all that. I think we all will be very happy next Saturday. Let's hope so. Earnings report, just hoping that, Mara announces some solid earnings report. Riot announces solid earnings. I think all that's going to just ramp things up. So, Bybit getting hacked, 1.5 billion. Guess that's the cause of the Friday drop. Yes, of course. In addition to that, that's one factor. Bybit getting hacked. People are trying to pull out their money. It's like, wait, code chain wallet. How are people able to hack that? But also the stock market as well. I think because there's so much correlation now between the stock market and Bitcoin. Bitcoin reacts to any news with like tariffs, right? We've seen that also, like the push and pull between the big time players like China and United States when it comes to AI. But you look at other, sectors like, Nvidia was down big time, 4%. Meta was down. All stocks in the market was down except for like Celsius. But that was expected, right? Celsius going up because of the acquisition news. But seeing it drop from like over $100 down to $20, that's the type of reverse patterns you'll see, and we'll also see some reverse patterns, coming for like Mara, Cleanspark. So Cleanspark, we're gonna see that cup and handle form here. Mara, RSI at like 17, it's gonna shoot back up. MSTR in this, bull flag here, consolidating. I think it's just floating with Bitcoin floating the last 3 months, before that November run up. Of course, because MSTR generally outperforms Bitcoin price, you're expected more volatility. But as soon as we see that next gap up with Bitcoin, MSTR is going to be off to the races, running up significantly. So like Bitcoin goes up to 200K, that's 100% gain. But as MSTR, as Bitcoin gets to 200K, this thing will 4x to 1200. So that's the difference. All right, so looks like we got more people here. First off, thank you all for joining. And if you haven't already done so, I would really, really appreciate hitting the like, subscribe to this channel. I, I cannot do this without all of your support. So thank you. And, stop by again next weekend. We'll do this again. And then JG here, the hack was a non-event. They signed a bogus contract when transferring between their wallets. Interesting. So I didn't know that part. So, okay, Bybit was hacked. Yep. All right, so we're at 58 minutes, but just wanted to wish you all a happy Saturday. We'll definitely talk more. Just continue watching the updates. I generally make videos every day. So thank you. Yes, of course, you're welcome, JG, and thank you for stopping by and your continued support and love for this channel. I really appreciate it. And all of you here, thank you. And we'll do this again. Take care, guys. See ya.